Why am I nervous?
I don't know.
I think I might cry.
It's okay. Speaking for the ratings. Hey everybody, welcome to the first official
Podcast.
the first official podcast. What's the name, Jesse?
We are called Between the Walls. The Between the Walls podcast.
Why Between the Walls, Jess?
So I forgot to get her name. Shout out to those of you who support the vlog channel because a lot of you guys gave us suggestions and somebody came up with Between the Walls. I'm going to try to put her name right here because she snapped with that. And I thought it was great because it's like, it's between us. Our last name is Wallace, Jessica and Jonathan Wallace.
Yeah.
And it's just a conversation between us, but we're also sharing it with you guys. And I was also like, it's in the walls of our home, but like maybe that's a little bit of a stretch. But
no, but it, like that does work too. And
Yeah.
it's like we're bringing you into our lives, our conversations.
Yeah.
So Jess figured out we'd start off with a Between the Walls conversation for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry guys. I'm a little nervous to have this conversation because it really is. I already feel I'm choking up already. Okay. It's definitely a very personal conversation. I mean, this podcast, we do share a lot of personal things and everybody's journey is different. I just want to say that. And everyone handles their journey differently. So if I laugh or make jokes about it, it's just like our situation here. Or if I cry or if I'm overdramatic or whatever it is, everyone's situation is different. But I did want to talk about it because one, I get asked this all the time, maybe more than Jonathan does, but it's, when are you guys going to have a baby? And are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? And blah, 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 and all these questions. And I feel like as a woman, time and time again, especially as a female influencer, we're always posting how rude it is to ask the question, but I can understand why people want to know. And it's like, you get married and 6 months in, people are like, where's that baby? Are you pregnant? Are you guys going to have kids? How many kids do you want? And it's like, dang, just let us enjoy each other. But it is something that we've been trying. We have been trying for some time. So I just thought I would share our experiences and share what I feel like God is teaching me, and Jonathan can speak for himself during this time. And yeah, so like let's get into it.
Yeah. Do you want to? Where do you want to start? Do you want to start at the beginning?
Okay, so basically, it's been about a year since we've been trying. Our anniversary is May, so next month will be 2 years of us being married.
Okay.
And I was like, I want to be married for at least a year and enjoy each other for at least a year before we start trying. So I remember last year, April, we had like an oops. Because, the first year, we were just doing the pull and pray method because I've never been on birth control. For myself and my body, I just didn't want to be on birth control. So for the first year, pull and pray, and we were doing great. Well,
we thought we were doing great.
I know. I'm like, you're so good at this, but maybe it's other factors though.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just like, yeah. And it's just so funny that we talk about, like, kind of feeling like you have control of like life and situations and like circumstances. It's like, before like taking like our walks with God seriously, or you get in situations and it's like, can't get someone pregnant, can't be pregnant. And you just like, that's just a thought that you have all the time. Something that kind of rules over your mind. So you figure that when you start to try to have a baby, it will kind of just work.
Yeah.
Like it'll be it'll be easy. Like you'll be able to be in complete control over it. And I think we realize that we don't have 100% control over it.
Yeah. This is like the first time that I have felt so out of control of anything in my life. Like even before I got married, like I could have gotten married to whoever I wanted to, really. Like,
wow.
I'm not okay.
I could get married to whoever I want. I have unlimited pickings.
No, but like I could choose. Technically, like if the guy who I was dating who wanted to marry me before, I could have said yes and we could have got married, and that was that. Like I feel like I had more control over who I chose to marry or whatever. But like having a baby, I mean, obviously you have to have sex in order to get pregnant unless you're Mary, and I'm not Mary, the mother of Jesus. But like you can have sex a million times and not get pregnant. Like you're not in control of that. But I have never felt more out of control in the past year than I have in like my 32 years of life. But so going back to our journey, I'll tell our journey and up to where we are today. So last April, we had like a little oopsie moment, right? Like I said, for the first year of our marriage, we're doing the pull and pray. And then whenever we're like, all right, this is, y'all are getting into our business today. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Wait, let me go back.
Yeah.
Just so for context for people who might not know, like
the pull and pray.
No, not that. Our story when we got married. So it's like timeline wise.
Yeah. So we got married May.
May of 22. Mm-hmm. So when she's saying April, it's like April of 23.
Yes, almost a year of being married, but not quite. And I knew that in May, for our 1 year anniversary, we were going to Italy. So I'm like, absolutely not. Like, let's just make it to Italy. Because when I went to Italy, I wanted to drink wine. Listen to me. I wanted to try all the wines. So for the third time, in April, we had a little like oopsie daisy type of thing. And I was like, you sure you got out in time? And he was like, I'm not sure. But I was kind of like, you know what? Let's just see. It wasn't like we were trying in April, but it was like a let's just see type of thing. Because also I was supposed to get my period, I think like the week while we were there or something. So I was like, what better way to find out that we're pregnant than while we're in Italy and like blah, blah, blah. But whatever. It didn't work. It didn't happen. But I was like, no big deal. We weren't really trying for real anyways. So then we started trying in May. Mm-hmm. And now we're in April. So we're not quite a year. Because I don't know if I'm not going to count last April because we were like,
I think it's like 11.
It was like, let's just see. So we're like inching into a year of trying. And for some people, that might not be a long time. And for some people, it might be. But like I said, it's just our journey. And I don't want to put the word infertility on it. I don't want to call it our infertility journey. Even though I did look up, like, when do you start calling it infertility? And they did say, like, at the year mark. It's when you start calling it that. Well, but that word is scary to me.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Why?
Because it just like it means you're infertile, and I don't believe that I'm infertile. I just feel like God's just making me wait yet again. I'm like the poster child for waiting. Like I feel like I always have to wait, but whatever. We'll get into that later. But the word infertility just scares me. Like I don't want to call it that, even though that might be what it is at the moment. But just like, oh yeah, my wife's infertile. Like, do you want to say that?
No, I don't think I'd ever use those words in that way in my entire life.
That word just sounds so strong. But it has definitely been a journey the past 11 months. And to be honest, I don't know why. I kind of felt that it was going to take us a while to get pregnant. Or no, more so, I felt like I know I'm going to be the one that's going to take. Sorry guys if I'm struggling. There's so many thoughts, and we've never really sat down and had like this conversation like this. But I kind of knew. I'm like, it's not gonna happen easy for me, is it? I just felt that, but I was like, don't say that. Like, don't speak that. But also, like, I don't know if I'll keep this in, but do you believe in like speaking things into existence? And people are like, oh my gosh, don't talk about death because then you're gonna die. I'm like, if it's not God's plan, does it matter what I say?
Well, your words matter. Yes, but I don't think God is evil.
Yeah,
and that would be like, well, you said that, so now it's gonna happen. I don't think God works that way.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree that your words, there's power in the tongue. The Bible does say that.
100%.
Yeah. So basically, the first month one, it didn't happen. I was like, no big deal. I was kind of giving myself 3 months. I was like, okay, maybe it'll happen within the first 3 months because I kind of feel like that's like people's sweet spot. Like it happens within the first 3 to 5 months.
Well, it's the thing is that we don't even know that. It's just kind of what we think.
Yeah, I'm telling you what was going on in my head. This may not be true. Some people it takes years. Some people it happens right away. And but for me, I'm like 3 to 5 months. But more so, I was thinking after 5 months, that's when I was going to start getting a little concerned to figure out why is this not happening. But I remember the first time that I actually cried about it was the third time that I got my period. I'm like, dang, I'm still not pregnant. I mean, and I know 3 months may not be that long, but I feel like when you're in it, it feels like some time. Because I'm all thinking dang, I could have been 3 months pregnant by now, but I'm I'm still not pregnant. And I'm like, okay, 3 months goes by, and that was the first time that I cried about it. And I was so disappointed because I'm like, if I'm crying at 3 months, does that mean am I gonna cry every single time now? I don't want this to become my personality. Every month it doesn't happen and I just break down. Some months are better than others. But how did you feel like during the first few months? Were you like worried? Were you like, oh, no big deal? Or you're just having fun? I mean, it's great for the guys. You just get to have so much sex and it's like, oh, this is fun.
I don't know if I'd say it was fun. I just think, yeah, it's kind of just like the surprise of it all. Like, it's like, oh, dang, really again? Like, not really. Like, we're not pregnant. And I just kind of remember thinking, like, kind of similar to you. Well, no, it's not similar to you. You feel like you were gonna have to wait. But I always had like a minor fear, like what if I can't have children, because of me or whatever. Like, but that's something that had always been like in my head, but like that's just fear, like a devil thing, not like substantiated by anything. Like, there was no evidence for me to feel that way other than I just felt that way. Yeah. So like I always remember having that in my head. So when the first few months and it wasn't happening, it was just like, dang, I wonder if there is something, but feeling out of control. And it wasn't until like, I think month 4 or 5 where like I started to become like really sad about it, or like had moments where I was really sad about it. I don't think it ever ruled over me. But I did have moments where I got pretty sad about it. And like I saw, I forget who it was, but I saw somebody with their child, and like how much they love their child, and like that was the first time I felt like a longing. Like not I don't think I ever had a jealousy, but a longing I think is a good word for it, because it's like you said, like anything that I ever really wanted before, like it was kind of dependent on me just doing it or not. Like, I mean, like you said, getting married is like, obviously you need to have the right person. You need to have X, Y, Z in steps, and then God needs to. But like, if I wanted to go outside of the plan of what's wise, like I could have just got married. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's in my control. If I wanted to switch jobs, like it might not be what's right for me, but I could just do it. So like that felt like there was some agency there.
Yeah.
And it's like this, like you said, feels like the first time where I had no real control of the situation. It's like if it's not like. If God doesn't want it to happen, like it's just not gonna it's just not gonna happen. Like there's nothing that can be done about it.
Yeah.
And so that feeling that's like a scary feeling. I mean, you trust God, but it's like, dang.
Yeah. I think it definitely tested my faith a lot, and it still is. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm so healed and everything is great. But that's another reason why I wanted to talk about it before the promise came to pass, because I 100% believe that we are going to have kids. I don't see a life where we don't. But I feel like a lot of people talk about it after it happens, and then they like share. I mean, some people don't, but I just want to talk about the feelings that I feel now while they're raw and while they're true, because, once you're pregnant or once you have the baby, some of those feelings might be gone out of your head, but either way. So yeah, around like month 4 and 5, I started getting mad. I know that Jonathan had experienced some of this. I'm like, God's mean. Like, he's just mean. Like, why am I not pregnant? And this is no shade to anybody, any of my friends who are watching this or anything, but I started trying to figure out, not that anyone is less deserving, but I'm just trying to figure out, because people are like, oh, maybe you're not ready yet. Maybe there's things that God wants to do in your life. So now I'm thinking about people who are pregnant. I'm like, well, why didn't God do that in their life? Like, they get to have a baby. Right, like they got pregnant right away, or they got a baby they weren't even trying. Then I started doing like the compare thing. Again, I'm not saying
thief of joy.
I know, huge thief of joy, but I'm like, there is no joy to steal. Like, I had no joy. I'm like yeah, I was happy for them, but I was like, the advice that people were giving me is like, oh, maybe it's just not your time. God's still doing a thing in you, and I'm like, what is so special about me that He has to do things in me? But other people are getting pregnant. I mean, who's to say God didn't do things in them? But I'm like, they weren't expecting it. And like, we're trying. I'm like, we have the house. We have a great marriage. I'm like, are those not the ingredients? Apparently not. But like I'm saying, everything that I was feeling, it wasn't always rational. I was just somebody who was hurt and someone who wanted what other people were getting. And of course, it happened to be people who were close to me. I'm like, it's people who were in arm's reach of me just getting pregnant. I'm like, there is a testing of faith happening here. And one thing that I don't want to miss in this season is seeing what God is doing in me, because I do feel like I missed that a little bit while I was waiting to, get married. There was a lot of faith testing there, but I was just so eager. I'm like, where's my husband? I got to find my husband. I got to get pregnant. And a lot of people, I mean, I got to get married.
I was
was not trying to get pregnant.
Hmm?
I was speaking of, it's such a weird feeling going from like, please God, let me get my period. I'll never have sex again to like, dang, my period's here. It's like, what a switch that is in like my mental. But yeah, a lot of people ask me like, how did you do in the waiting? Like, how was that? And I tell people, I'm like, I didn't wait well. Like, I was annoyed. I was angry because the same thing happened to me while I wanted to get married. Everybody in my life was getting married. I was a bridesmaid 7 times before I got married. People were just getting married, and having kids. But at the time, having kids didn't faze me. I'm like, oh, you're pregnant. I love that for you. But I didn't care. I just wanted to be married. I didn't care about having kids yet. And then the light just switched immediately. And I'm like, I want to be a mom. I want to have a family. I want to give my husband children. Like, I want the family. But then also I started to sit and wonder or like ask myself, well, not that it's wrong to want kids, but I'm like, why do I want kids so bad? What is it? Like, is it the cute Instagram pictures? Is it I want to see what they look like? Like, why do I want kids so bad? Why do I want to have a baby so bad? And I think it's, natural to, when you get married, you want to do the next, well, not the next step for everyone, but like, it feels like, oh, the next step, like, let's have a baby. And I feel like you would be a great dad, and I'm hoping that I'd be a great mom, but I can't sit here and say I have like the perfect answer as to why I want to have a baby. Is there even like a perfect answer? Like, I want a family. That's it. I just want to have a family of my own. And sometimes it's hard because I am an aunt, you're an uncle, and like I play with my nieces and nephews all the time, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting choked up. But I need a napkin.
Let me get you a napkin.
Thank you. I forgot to put on setting spray.
Oh, this is great. This is so good. Welcome.
Oh, no. Oh, I forgot.
No, it looks good still.
Yeah, I was just like, I love them. And I feel like one of the greatest gifts I've had, like, besides getting married, of course, is being an aunt. It's one of the favorite, like, the best things in my life. It's like my nieces and my nephews. I don't know. But I know. I just want I want my own. But needless to say, it's been a hard wait. Well, it hasn't been the hardest wait in the world, but it's been difficult. Like, seeing like so many negative pregnancy tests. Like, I bought a box of 50 and I think I have 2 left. I don't know. I just never thought that it was, well, like I did, but I was like not expecting this. Like, growing up, you don't think that like you're going to be the one to struggle to have kids. It's definitely not what I was thinking like the day we got married. I was like, God, please. During the first year of our marriage, I'm like, oh no, can't have a baby right now. My joke's on us. It wasn't gonna happen. Anyways, so all right, y'all. We took a brief intermission. I think I'm a little more collected now. And to be honest, I knew this was gonna be a hard conversation, and I already knew I was gonna cry. I didn't care. I was like, I'll allow people to see the raw, real emotions of what it's like, because I know I'm not the only one who is going through this and who feels this way. And I think it also will help for people who have never experienced this, because there are some women who have never experienced how long it takes to get pregnant. They just get pregnant very easily, which I love that for you. I wish that was the case for everybody. But some of them just don't know what it's like, because those are the same people who are like, you like, well, you like, are you pregnant yet? Like, what are you doing? Like, people don't know how sensitive of a question that is, because they don't know what it is like to have to go through a waiting period like this. But anyhow.
Well, real quick, do you want to talk about freedom? Not freedom, my bad. Daughters conference.
No. I want to talk about it after it happens. What if it don't happen?
Didn't you just talk about saying it before it happens?
What are you talking about? I want to tell people how I feel personally before it happens, but not a promise that someone gave us.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, that's not for the world right now. So anyways, and again, I really hope this does not come off offensive or like, I don't want anyone to think that I'm like jealous of people who get pregnant. Like you said, it's not jealousy, it's
longing.
It's like a longing. But I am genuinely happy for anyone who gets pregnant. But I will say every time someone gets pregnant, I do feel like, well, dang, when is it my turn? It's always a me thing. It's not like, oh, why them? It's kind of like a, well, what about me? It's
why
like,
not?
Why not me? It's always like, for me to God, like, when someone here gets pregnant, I'm like, congratulations, I'm so happy for you. And then I'm like, all right, God, what about me? Not like, why them? You know, this is about me. I'm talking about me. We got that? All right. I'm happy for everybody who's pregnant right now. I'm happy for you. My time will come. It's coming. Anyhow, so around month 6, the 6th month of us trying is when we were like, okay, because I think we kind of agreed, like once we get to 6 months, let's like start checking to see if we're good, if we're okay. Little did I know that most doctors don't really take you seriously until it's been at least a year of trying. So when I'm like, it's been 6 months and we're not pregnant yet, she's like, oh yeah, I know that you're fine. I'm like, well, can you check? Like, can you make sure? But most doctors really don't.
They don't want to help you yet.
Yeah, they don't want to help you yet. And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I guess 6 months really isn't that long. I don't know. This is our first time doing this. I don't know. But for me, 6 months felt like forever. I'm like, there's no way it's been 6 months and we're like, what's going on? So whatever, like I got checked and I just got like a little pap smear. I was asking them like, can you check for PCOS or endometriosis? Like, can we see what's going on? But at the 6 month mark, there wasn't like too much that they could do for me. And then I went back at 9 months of us trying. And then I got an ultrasound because they wanted to just check on the inside to see what was going on. So 9 months, I went for an ultrasound. And me, normally, like I get pap smears all the time. And they're like, we'll only call you if something's wrong. They did call me one time if something was wrong, but that's a story for another day. That's part of the testimony, but we are not talking about that right now. But I was like, if they don't call me, usually that means nothing is wrong. So I went the next 2-3 months or whatever. I don't even remember. Was it 9 months that I got the thing? I don't remember. I went months, like 3 months without knowing that something was wrong because they never called me. So I'm like, okay, everything's fine. It's just like it's God's timing. Like, let's just relax. God's timing. Everything's fine. So then a few months later, I get a blood test just for like an annual checkup to see like my thyroid levels, all the stuff, all the levels you have in your body. I went to go check that. And then my doctor calls me back like a week later and she was telling me all the things that I need to watch out for. And she was also like, I need you to get an ultrasound. And I'm like, oh, I got one already. I got one like a few months ago and everything's fine. Like they didn't call me, so everything's fine. And she was like, you need to call them and you need to send me your results right now. She's like, don't ever assume that. So anyways, yeah, our camera overheated, but we're back again for the 3rd time. The doctor called me back. She was like, you need to get your ultrasound results. And I was like, ultrasound, I'm good. They never called me, so I'm straight. Everything's fine. I'm sure if something was wrong, they would have called me by now. She said, call them right now. She said, never assume, always call. So I'll try to speed this up a little bit. I called and they were like, oh, yes, ma'am, sorry. You have this, and this. You need to come back in for a follow-up ultrasound. And we were at a conference at that time, actually. And it took me like a second to process, but I think it's like a blur now. Like, do you remember how that happened?
Yeah, so after the doctor told Jess that she needed to get those results because there might be something on there, she started kind of trying to figure it out, and try to get it with the results. But at the same time, the doctor had also told her she was waiting for other news from the blood test because she had the blood test and she was antsy to figure out what else was on the blood test, all while we were at the conference. So you got the blood test results first, where it said this was up, that was down, this was sideways, this whatever, and we need to fix all these things. And then that's when she said you need to get those results. You really need to get the results.
Yeah.
So then she started calling them, and when they got on the phone, she got a nurse and not the or PA, and not her doctor. And that's when her doctor said, "You have." Can I say it?
Sure, yeah, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, you say you have endometriosis and like polyps
It is an endometrium polyp and cysts
and cysts. Yeah,
on my ovaries.
on your ovaries. It's like, yeah, sorry we didn't say anything.
Yeah, if you follow me on my blog channel, you know it's been that doctor's office is a complete joke. Yeah, and then she's just like, okay, we need you to come in again, and she scheduled me, and then that was it.
Shouldn't they like explain anything?
She didn't like, oh, this is common, or like she gave me nothing. All I heard was like, you can't have kids. That's what I heard. Like, I didn't know what was going on. I just heard, hey, you can't have kids. You got to come back in. That's literally all I heard. And I just start like I hang up. Jonathan's sitting next to me. I hang up and I start crying. Just like. And our pastor comes up. He's like, is everything okay? But you know what's crazy? Because at that conference, that same night, actually, the guy was just like, I feel like there's women in here are struggling to have a baby. And like, I just want to pray for you guys. I mean, but that's also really easy. So
no, but like he basically like he prayed a prayer of healing though.
Oh, he said, did he say endometriosis?
Yeah, he did.
He did actually say that. That's not what I have though, but you know, I did schedule a follow-up with them, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going back to these people because this was like the third instance of something that I wasn't very happy about with that doctor's office. And I was like, this is the last, like, I'm not coming back because how can I have these things wrong with me? And I didn't know about it for like 3 months. And then I finally reach out to you to tell me. And then you're like, oh, you have this, and this. We'll see you in 3 weeks. I'm like, can you tell me something else? But whatever. I go to a different doctor. We get a different ultrasound, and he's confused. He's like reading the facts that they sent. Go ahead.
Yeah, like he read the results. He's like, this doesn't make sense. Like this is crazy. So then he does the examination on her. He does the ultrasound, and then when we go in for the doctor to read it, she's like, I don't know what happened or what they were looking at or what these notes are, but we looked at the new one. And there's nothing there. Mm-hmm. And if like, you just think about like God, and how he works. It's like from, oh, you have endometriosis, you have cysts, to like, no, there's nothing there. And we don't know if there was something there and now there is not anything there.
Yeah.
Or if there was just never anything there. But, it just kind of shows how God works in situations and, works towards healing, and letting you know that even though like the war, I guess like what we're praying for still hasn't come yet, that like he still gives us like little glimpses of his glory. Yeah. In the waiting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just want to say also, and that's pretty much where we're at now. Like we have another test coming up. We're like trying to believe like, oh, we're not gonna need that test because like now like it's gonna happen, but like we don't know. I think it's a long time ago. I stopped telling myself like, oh, this is the month, because I was just hurting my own feelings. But we decided to be a little fun this month and be like, this is it. It's happening this month. But we'll see. I think I'm coming a little more to terms that like I do feel like there is some things that God wants to get in order in me before we have this baby. And like, say I do get pregnant, say I'm pregnant right now and I don't know. I don't know what's changed in me. I'm like, oh, well, something happened, but we still have 9 months.
Well, I can see the changes. I can see the changes in you. I know that it's harder for you to see because you are you.
And me, yeah.
But I think throughout our marriage, our relationship, in your life, and we've talked about this before, like that it's a blessing and a curse, like that you're a forward thinking person, where it's like, all right, what are we doing next? Like, what are we planning for next? But in many ways, that can hamper you from seeing the beauty in what's happening right now. Like the beauty. But I feel like God has been helping you on to see the beauty in what's happening now. So it's that we can still desire things for the future, and there's nothing wrong with those desires.
Yeah.
But like seeing the beauty in what's happening now. And I told you this the other day and I think God's been revealing it to you as well, that until you see the beauty in what's happening today, or like the beauty that's happening in the moment, you're going to get what you can get what you want and still not be pleased and still waiting for the next thing.
Yeah.
You know, so like say that like the baby came now. I mean, before originally, like as soon as you wanted it, it's like we'd have the baby, and it would still be, all right. Now, like, when are we gonna get the second? When are we like? When is this gonna happen now? Like, when are we gonna move up in house, or like when can we? But I think God is teaching you to slow down and appreciate your season that you're in now.
That's it. And even though I knew that, because I also did speak about that on my vlog channel like a few months ago. Shameless plug, but if you're not subscribe to the vlog channel, you should, because I do a lot of girl talk over there. But I did talk about that a little while ago, that I was always either looking behind me or looking ahead of me and never looking into like right now. But also the time that we get to spend together right now, like we're never Like the kids will move out, but like we're never gonna be this young again.
It's not gonna be the same.
It's not gonna be the same, and we have a lot of fun together. And sometimes we're like out and we're like, bro, can you imagine if we had JIT right now? Like we wouldn't be able to be having all this fun.
If anyone outside of Florida, put in if you know what JIT means.
You know, the last time you did this, and you're like, you guys who aren't in Florida, do you know what the Wu-Tang is? People were like, what? First of all, yes. It's not a South Florida thing.
That is definitely a South Florida thing.
Well, people know. There's TV and there's social media. People know what JIT is.
The Wu-Tang is a Florida thing, and JIT is
okay, Philly cheesesteak is a Philly thing, but people know what it is.
I mean, I don't think JIT's as big as the Philly cheesesteak.
Anyways, we don't got no JIT, so like we can literally pick up and go wherever we want.
Yeah.
Right now, and we're never gonna have this time again. And I definitely want to embrace it so much. Embrace my body the way it is now. Even though it's not where I want it to be, I know when I'm 9 months pregnant, I'll be looking back at this body and be like, dang, I missed that. So I think it's definitely important for me to enjoy this season that I'm in now. And for anyone else who is also waiting on having kids, I mean, I don't know how easy it is to enjoy something when you're like 6 years into waiting or like 10 years into waiting. But so I don't want to speak like, oh, it's so easy. But I think there is absolutely a beauty in every stage and every season. And although it doesn't always feel beautiful, and I do still get sad about it. I mean, I was crying 10 minutes ago, but the stage we're in now is stunning. We go to the beach right now. We don't have to pack nothing. We can just get up and go all the time. So that is an upside to it, even though I look forward to being a mom. I long to pack a diaper bag and all that stuff, or to get pooped on. Or I don't long to get pooped on. I know those things.
Don't.
I don't long for that.
Not at all.
That was such a fake answer. Like, I long for those moments.
I want to get pooped on.
that was fake. That was not real. But I do long to pack a diaper bag, or like pick out the baby's clothes and do my daughter's hair, or like for you to teach our son how to play the bass. Or sorry, I didn't go straight to a sport. I'm sorry. I struck a nerve.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Anyways, whatever. You give her son his first haircut, whatever. But the season we're in now is beautiful. But I wanted to also say, I think God is very strategic as well, because he knew what was going to be our position, what position we would be in. And I actually made a very, very, very good friend after like we got married. A few months after we got married. Her name's Julie and her husband's name is Zay. And it's so funny because her husband, Zay, and my husband, they're very good friends too, but they're so much alike. And like the duo just works great, but she also has shared her testimony at church and things, but she has waited 4 years now to have a baby. And I've never been close with someone who has went through that or has publicly told me about it. So I never was able to ask someone questions or see how they're handling it. And I can't imagine what it's like to be waiting for 4 years to have a baby, but she handles it with so much grace. And just being able to have someone to connect with and someone to like help me through this time, like God giving her to me is also like a very special gift. So it still shows me that like sometimes I feel like God, you're forgetting about me, but like he knew I was going to be in this position and he gave me a friend that could help me through this. So I just think it's like so special how God cares about the little details of our lives. So shout out to God for that one. That 100%. Was nice.
And I'll shout out Zay too. Just like seeing him love his wife well and waiting well, and just like thinking about like what he's told me, you know, where he says with him and his wife Julie, that I'm gonna butcher the quote, but basically the idea is that it like if I had to have a baby, but it meant like losing this connection, this relationship I have with my wife, it's like it still wouldn't be worth it. Like that is the most beautiful thing to me. And it's like if God just gave me that and like that was it, I would still be okay. And it's like learning that from him and seeing him carry that so well, even though having a baby is something that he wanted as well. That's just something that's like invaluable, like having friends that, really love God, really love you, and like are in similar life stages as you. I think that was like instrumental for us, like, keeping our sanity and waiting well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was great because, like I said, I was surrounded by people who were having babies. Like both of my brothers, they have 3 kids, and I feel like they have 3 kids like back to back to back. I'm like, what's going on? But I think it was great that God gave me that hold me over, like just to remind me, like I see you, my daughter, and like I haven't forgotten about you. And for anyone who's wondering, I mean, I'll let Jonathan share, but we both got checked. So I know a lot of people are like, no, it could be the man. It could be the man. I mean, you can talk on that.
Well, yeah. So I did an at home, like one of the at home tests, and it said that like I'm in like the median percentile. However, like I do plan on if by a certain time, like we're not pregnant, on going in to get an in clinic check as well.
Yeah.
But I plan on getting that checked too.
Again, because like I just don't want people to think that he hasn't done anything.
No, I do my due diligence.
Yeah.
I care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So my wife asked me to think like 10 minutes ago, like, how are we gonna close this with Jesus? And I'm like, and I think God is good, and He gave me something to share.
Share it, babes.
I threw my phone on the floor earlier when it started ringing, so I just have to pick it up.
Bless me.
All right, two scriptures came to my head, and I'm just gonna like kind of go through them pretty quickly. The first one is in Isaiah. Isaiah 40, verse 28 says, "Have you never understood? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of all the earth. He never grows weak or weary. No one can measure the depths of his understanding. He gives power to the weak and strength to the powerless. Even youths become weak and tired, and young men will fall in exhaustion. But those who trust in the Lord will find new strength. They will soar high on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint." I just love that it kind of gives like a pathway that like we might not be able to soar yet. We might not be able to run yet. But even those who are at the stage where they could just walk, just can put one foot in front of the other, and it's like, God, I can't really understand why you're doing what you're doing. It's like I all I'm doing is crawling. Like I'm barely making it through. But it's through Him and the trust in God that gives us strength. And it's like trusting His character, trusting His faithfulness, what we've seen Him do in the past. That like it says that He never grows weak or weary, and that we can't measure the depths of His understanding, so that we can trust in Him because we know that He's good, and we know that His character. So that can inform our waiting. And the second thing is just like what Jesus says about worrying.
Sorry.
Okay?
I burped in the mic. I'm sorry.
You're good. Luke 12:25 says, "Can all your worries add a single moment to your life? And if worry can't accomplish a little thing like that, what's the worst? Wow, I cannot read. What's the use in worrying over bigger things? Look at the lilies and how they grow. They don't work or make their clothing, yet Solomon in all his glory was not dressed as beautifully as they are. And if God cares so wonderfully for the flowers that are here today and thrown in the fire tomorrow, He will certainly care for you. Why do you have so little faith?" And it's like just thinking about like that verse is that it shows the character of a God that loves to give good gifts to His children. And that that me worrying about this and me like being concerned is like, when is it gonna happen? Can I do this? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that and that to make it happen or make the promise come. It's like we can rest and we can not, throw our entire everything into being so stressed about it, because God is a God that loves to give good gifts to His children. And like how He takes care of just the little flowers of the field, and how He takes care of the birds that he's going to take care of us too. He's going to take care of our desires. And that if we spend all our time worrying about the things that we're praying for and not being happy for the situations and having gratitude for the things we have now, you're going to get the thing you're praying for or not get it. But you're not going to be, like, when you get it, you won't be happy.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to bring you the joy that you think it will, because nothing that we're praying for could ever make us make us happy, unless we're happy in, unless we're content in the circumstances that we find ourselves.
Yeah.
So whether you're praying for marriage, or whether you're praying for a baby, whether you're praying for a job, whether you're praying to get into school, praying for a loved one, just know that in your season of praying, like, God is still good, God is still faithful. And that even in whatever situation you're in, there's still reasons for gratitude. There's still reasons to praise. There's still reasons to have joy. And once you have that joy, like the joy of the Lord, I'm like rambling, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
The joy of the Lord is your strength, right? Yeah. So it's like, once you have that joy of the Lord, like, things will come and try to take your joy. That comparison will come and try to steal your joy. But once you use the joy that you get from the Lord, there's strength there. So that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's good, babe, because I had nothing bad.
No. I'm going to leave that in, too. I'm not cutting that out. That's very funny.
I wasn't ready for you to be finished. But that is good, though. It is good.
That's good because...
I was like, God, give me the words.
Because...
Because what, man? But it is good. I just want to encourage anyone who is going through this, man or woman, because I know the men... I mean, I did want Jonathan to share his experience, but I guess that's for another day. But yeah, I just want to encourage anyone, man or woman, who is going through this right now, that, like, God has not forgotten about you. Even if you don't have what you are waiting for or what you're praying for, like, God still sees you. And at the end of the day, I know we feel like we know what's best, but we don't. Because I remember when I was just like, God, why am I not married? Or like, where is my husband? I did not even need to be married at the time that I wanted to be married. I'm like, what is taking so long? I thought I was going to be married at 25. I didn't get married until I was 30. But there was so much that I needed to do and so much growing in me. Even like when it came to school and my career and all that stuff that needed to happen before then. So I know we say this all the time, but God's timing is perfect. He knows what we don't know. He sees what we don't see. So even though it is discouraging sometimes, and there still may be times where I'm like, all right, God, like, please, like, when is this going to happen? At the end of the day, I know that God knows, like, God's plan is greater for me. And like you said, he gives good gifts to his children. And even if I never did have or get pregnant, which I fully believe that we will, he has given me so many good gifts where I can't ever say that, like, God has forgotten about, like, God doesn't care about me. He doesn't love me, because my life is already so extremely blessed. Anything after a long time ago is just overflow and just like extra. So I just want to encourage anyone who feels like, oh, this is just not fair. And it may not feel fair. I can't just say like, oh, it is fair. Like
life isn't fair.
Yeah, life is just, it's not fair. And there's going to be times where you want to compare and you're like, well, how come she and blah, blah, blah. And like, we always think about the people who get pregnant and they abandon their children or they give up for adoption or abort. We don't know why things happen. We're going to drive ourselves crazy trying to figure it out. So just rest. And that is a word for me too. Rest. Just rest in the arms of the Father, because nobody's going to hold you the way that he does. I can't hold me the way he does. My husband can't hold me the way that, in the arms of the Father, the way that he does. So I'm just going to leave you with that, to just rest and wait well. Wait well. That's all I have.
It's really good. I love it.
Thanks.
It's good because... No, it's good. We're gonna leave an email down there if you guys want to email us any questions. Eventually we're gonna do like a Q&A. So,
not about this.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you do have questions about this, that's fine too. Yeah. But questions about anything. Yeah, it's great to be back with you guys. Thank you for listening to our journey.
Yeah.
listening to my beautiful wife be vulnerable and great and give good words, because she's just so good.
Okay. Thank you
Just love her
guys
so much.
for tuning in to the Between the Walls podcast. We'll see you guys next time.
Next time. Woo! See you guys.
Bye.